How much should games cost, man? Nowadays, y'all, games be costing you basically a leg and an arm. I feel like even a decade ago, you could get a solid new game for max price like $60, but nowadays it'd be like $70, $80. Shoot, if you want an exclusive bundle of the game, $100. And a lot of times these games be underwhelming as hell, especially the Call of Duties. There should be no reason, to be honest, any new COD, even with the bundle, is $100, $80 at most with the bundle. Okay, I feel like even back then you could find some new games that weren't as big for like $50, maybe sometimes even $40 if it's really not that known. But I don't know what changed, to be honest, whether it's companies getting greedy or it was actually just that. Just companies getting more greedy. Shoot, that's why nowadays I feel like people like less of like the AAA games, you know, and they like the unknown games. Like, I remember Lethal Company. Lethal Company was like made by, I think it was either a new company or like not so big AAA company or something, and it was an amazing fun game. And it's just showing these devs, you know, they gotta lock in if they really want us to find something fun. So let's go ahead and see this. How much should games cost? My answer, $60 max.
Here is 2005.
Okay. Damn. Nah, they had some peak back then.
We're deep into the 6th generation of consoles, and gaming is doing pretty good.
Oh my god, bro. Kingdom Hearts was so ahead of its time. Bro, I remember when I first played this on PlayStation 2, I thought this was like futuristic as hell, bro. The way the sound effects was, the way the game worked, the way the game looked. This literally looked like 8K definition to me back in the day, bro. And games used to be so much more creative, I feel like, bro. Like, it used to be new characters and stuff. People would get clinging to the characters. Like, to this day, people still f with Soren. Like, it's an iconic character. I can't think of like the last gaming character that's kind of been like iconic and a lot of people like know it. Let's say 2020 plus, right? 2020 and past. Maybe an Among Us character, because I would consider the Among Us character pretty iconic by now. I think that's honestly about it. I really gotta think. I don't know.
Good. So far this year, I've gotten to play Devil May Cry 3 and Resident Evil 4 on my PlayStation 2. And for my Xbox, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory and Doom 3 finally got ported, so I'm playing that as well. It is so great to have so much money to buy all of these games. Surely there'd be no financial crisis in the future or anything. In fact, the future looks bright for gaming. We've been holding on to this 6th generation of consoles for a while now, and games have only looked better and better. But I think it's time we ask.
Yeah, I think that's what made the old consoles kind of like more interesting in games, like because they got more advanced and advanced with the same console. Like the first PS2 games, they didn't look that good. But then later on, towards like the end when the PS3 was about to release, the last games released on the PlayStation 2, you were like, God damn, is this even the same console? Like, what's going on?
What's next? And the end of that may not exactly be what I'm hoping for. See, I should specify that this is May of 2005, and I'm sitting down to watch the unveiling of the next generation. Oh my god, is that Elijah Wood from The Lord of the Rings?
The future of gaming.
Nah, I never went to one of those, but being at like a console reveal, especially back then, that must have been so hype. It was like a push of the future or something. Nowadays, if you see a new console, you're just like, I don't really care. It has to be revolutionary, you know? I feel like Nintendo Switch. People like the Nintendo Switch because it was kind of like one of those game changers. Hey guys, Tom NFG here. You know, only half of you guys are subscribed and even less of you guys have noties on. I hate to be a burden, but you know, I really appreciate it if you hit that sub button and the little bell next to it, you know. It doesn't take long. I know you can get mixed up in the algorithm and everything. But yeah, also tune into the streams, you know. We have a lot of fun over there, I'm telling you. We have a lot of parties going on over there. Yeah, that's it, bye. Damn.
Over the next month, more next-gen consoles would be unveiled, like the PS3 and the Wii. And with that, the clock started ticking down towards the 7th generation of consoles. While that's great for the plethora of new games that are sure to come out, you see, during this 6th generation of consoles, and essentially most of the early 2000s, games cost about $40 and
$50 for a brand new game, bro. And they're gonna say it's inflation, bro. Okay, in reality, inflation's probably $60 max. Like, I could see games being like $60 or some shit. Insane.
$50. Obviously, that's in USD and without counting for taxes, but they weren't $60. Not yet. That is until November 22nd, 2005.
Oh, they got it marked.
Call of Duty 2 was released onto a console alongside the launch of the Xbox 360. Now, this wasn't the first ever $60 game in the early 2000s. A game called SOCOM US Navy SEALs came out in 2002 and was priced at $60. But that was because it came bundled with a cheap headset. No, Call of Duty 2 set the standard for this next generation of gaming to be priced at $60. While there was, of course, some pushback, which I'll talk about in a bit.
Let's see what they were complaining about. Jesus, I'm trying to look for a late Father's Day gift and seeing that $60 price tag is making me wince. It's an old argument, sure, ever since the 360 release, but this is one of the major things. Oh, buddy. I wonder how he's holding up now that they see new games are like $70, $80 without tax.
It's undeniable that there was a jump in quality to the 7th generation. Games were longer, had more content than ever, told better stories, and looked better than ever while doing it. Publishers told people that games needed to cost more because they were getting more expensive to make, and it clearly showed in the end product. Putting 2 scarabs on screen in Halo 3, stepping outside of the vault for the first time in Fallout 3, or falling out of a plane in Uncharted 3. Lots of 3s here. All of that couldn't have been done in the 6th generation, and sold the idea that these games are worth $60 now. Before I get too deep, let me just mention that game prices are expensive pretty much everywhere else save for a few countries that aren't America. I am aware. This video is made from an American perspective, so I'm sorry to—
Wait, games are even more expensive in other countries? Now, let me search up the country with the most expensive games. Switzerland has the most expensive games on every game platform. Nintendo Store example. Super Mario Party in Swiss Store, 78. CHF in US Store, 60 USD. What does that translate to? $88? Yeah, shit. I don't know how y'all are holding up in Switzerland, but you know, at least I got Swiss cheese, I guess.
Foreign viewers, if you live in a country where games are either already $70 or perhaps even more, I'm sorry. A few countries off the dome, shout out Canada, shout out Turkey, shout out the Philippines, shout out Australia.
But my question is, why is it so expensive actually? Okay, maybe when they had physical games, you could buy them online. Before they had to ship them out, whatever, overseas fees, shipping, this and that. You're buying it online and still that much? Yeah, they tripping.
Australia, and shout out New Zealand. You guys get forgot a lot. Let's get back to what I was talking about. The 8th generation of consoles. With the release of the Xbox One and PS4, the cost of development and size of games exploded. In 2010, big budget games were averaging $30 million to make. In 2014, they could get up to $68 million, and by 2020, we knew that big games were hitting hundreds of millions of dollars.
And then there's GTA 6 that's like $1 or $2 billion. I think they're gonna make up the cost literally in the first day. I'm not even joking. I don't know about y'all, but I'm definitely buying that super exclusive pack, the $100 pack, whatever. I'm buying the most premium. Niggas will literally set aside their rent money, their bill money to get the most expensive version of GTA, because like you don't want to be behind, bro. Best believe I am saving up for that. I am pre-ordering
on average to develop. Not too long ago, I uploaded a video about just how large games have gotten and why. And not to repeat everything, but just to give you an idea. In 2014, we were complaining about 40 gigabyte game downloads. And then just 4 years later, the biggest game—
Bro, 48 gigabytes is a dream nowadays.
That year hit 120 gigabytes to download. It soon became obvious that studios dumping hundreds of millions of dollars and tens of thousands of hours into one project couldn't continue without something changing. And so, in 2020, 2K and their parent company Take-Two were the first to bravely announce to the world that we would like more money, actually. NBA 2K21, a true next-gen experience priced at $70.
Bro, people that play 2K and FIFA all the time will always be like, man, this next version's already about to be ass already, and then buy the most expensive version of the game anyways and pre-order it. All I know is if I started playing this, and especially FIFA, I'd probably be trying to gamble to get like the best packs the whole time and just end up addicted.
Setting the standard that for the 9th generation of consoles, games are $70 now. And that's pretty much where we are today. Big budget AAA titles that pull in the big bucks for major gaming publishers are $70. Heading towards the end of Big 24, which is when this video is uploaded, by the way, we've seen games like the Silent Hill 2 remake, Black Ops 6, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, all at $70. We're still waiting on Indiana Jones and probably a few other games.
I can't wait till it goes to like $80 in 2 years. GTA 6 is probably gonna be the first game to set it.
In 2025, I'm not mentioning. All of which are set to launch at $70. I'd certainly say backlash to this has been pretty vocal online, but it's really up in the air if it's affected the sales of games in some meaningful way. And I'd probably lean towards it hasn't, maybe?
But it's crazy how they do all this, y'all, and then like they end up not even paying the actual developers and shit. I think most people would be fine if they actually paid the employees like good and stuff and they lived good salaries. A lot of them don't.
If there's one thing I am certain of, is that backlash to the jump from 60 to 70 has certainly been worse than the backlash from 50 to 60. See, I said I was going to talk about it earlier, and here I am talking about it. I told you. Well, it's certainly hard to even find discussion about things like this online because it happened in 2005. The threads I have managed to find seem to find the jump from 50 to 60 bad for them because it means they're less likely to buy a game day one. Not that they're entirely put off from buying games anyway. And on top of that, there's significantly fewer people saying the games aren't worth.
Actually, let's go ahead and track. Let me go to the inflation calculator. I'm gonna put in what a $50 game in like 2007 or whenever it switched. Let me say like a 2004 $50 game, how much that $50 should actually be worth. And that should be the actual price of how much the game should be worth. 82. So damn, wait, that's actually kind of surprising then. Damn, maybe we're being selfish, y'all. It's as much buying power as $82 now. So technically, I guess the games, actually, that means we're not really far from games being $80. It might happen, y'all. Might be GG's.
$60, which is arguably the largest criticism of this generation's recent price hike. Let's take NBA 2K21 for example here, considering it's the game to set the $70 standard. What makes this release worth $10 more compared to its previous outing, NBA 2K20? Here's a list of differences I noticed as someone unfamiliar with the franchise.
Okay. More sweat, larger crowd sizes. Take-Two hits 3.37 billion revenue in record year. Okay, I don't give a f the inflation calculator I just showed. That shit don't mean anything, bro, if they're making this much.
When the news broke that 2K21 would cost $70, David Ismailer, the president of 2K, defended the decision by saying the price reflects the high-quality experience you get. And of course, by this, I assume he means the high-quality, high-price microtransaction.
Oh my god, I'd be forgetting about VC and stuff. Nah, so you gotta pay for the game that's already over expensive. And then after that, you're gonna get addicted to buying these packs and microtransactions and stuff.
Maybe even the loot boxes. How about the high-quality, unskippable commercial ads that were added to the game?
What? I didn't even know they had ads like this. Oh, nah. Wait, what? This is like paying for a Netflix subscription and still getting ads.
Month after launch accidentally. Or, and this might just be a little outside the box thinking here, maybe David is referring to the fact the 2K21 experience is so high quality that you simply can't experience it anymore. A game released in 2020
Wait, it shut down?
Is no longer available.
Wait, what happened with this? I need my 2Kers to explain this. Why the f did they take it down?
For you to purchase digitally on Steam. In fact, the multiplayer servers were shut down at the end of 2022, and the game no longer receives any kind of official support. Because of this dependency on the servers, you can't play the offline campaign mode. It's gone. This game is nowhere near worth $70, obviously. But it's not hard to see this situation creep into many other big budget AAA games released recently. While there's certainly nothing quite as egregious as NBA 2K for $70, which they're still doing by the way, it's not hard to find other greedy or half-baked experiences littering what should be a
COD literally turned into like what Fortnite is, where like the only way they're making money is off these skin packs or having collabs or something. These skin packs do look cool. Don't get me wrong. I definitely bought a couple. This is like the only way they're making money now.
Price point. And I can already see someone who, from what my statistics tell me, is the rare 38 to 45-year-old male viewer I have.
That's definitely cap. They definitely cap my age.
Commenting, gaming has always been like this, and there's always been duds at 50, 60, or $70. And that's true, I agree. I'd argue though that we have a lot less AAA games releasing now than back then. Taking Rockstar Games for example, in between GTA 4 and GTA 5, Rockstar released 4 console games, 3 DLCs, and I'm not even gonna count whatever DS or iOS games came out, sorry. In between GTA 5 and the yet to be released GTA 6, Rockstar has released 1 console game. It's not like they weren't doing anything. I'm not sitting here calling
I think it's just more of them, like they're putting so much focus on GTA, they realize like that's the way they want to make money or something. And Red Dead Redemption was like a big game, so they had to make a sequel to it.
Rockstar lazy, they were just busy developing the most detailed and immersive open world of all time. At least perhaps until GTA 6 comes out, who knows. I'd love to sit here and say that games cost so much now because every $70 game is a high quality labor of love that costs $200 million to develop and spent 5 to 8 years in the oven. But I can't say that because we don't even have a concrete answer as to why the 9th generation games are more expensive. I mean, we can speculate, but the real answer lies somewhere in a foggy 3-way trifecta between absurd development costs, inflation, and just straight up corporate greed. I think tackling each of these reasons separately would be the best way to present this. Beginning with inflation, this is the one that seems the most ironclad as a response. Inflation calculators for US currency are easily found online, and it clearly shows paying $60 for a game in 2019 would be like spending $73 today. It's even worse if you go back to the year 2005, because then that means $60
this I didn't get. Oh no, $60. Okay, I put 50.
games should cost nearly $100. The main response I've seen to this is that gaming has also exploded, incredibly large. There are more gamers than ever, and the gaming industry is more profitable than ever. Year over year, you see how franchises are breaking records, selling the most they've ever had in history. So does it still make sense to raise game prices for the 9th generation if companies are pulling in more than ever?
That's what I'm saying. They have more people buying the game, so if anything, they can lower the price and still make good money. But you know, they're greedy as f, and they just want to make like the most they can for real.
From gamers? And this is where greed gets involved, because if games are so profitable year over year, why are we paying more for them?
Pre-order the Vault Edition today. Pre-order now. Pre-order the Vault Edition now. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Pre-order now.
Especially when a large majority of games nowadays come jam-packed full of live service elements and microtransactions. I've talked about battle passes and how stupid they can be.
Nah, Fortnite really changed the game with battle passes in like a terrible way. Niggas saw Fortnite do two things: put on battle royales and then put on battle passes, and every single game copied it. To this day, it's still like that.
My channel before, but I really need to hammer it in here that $70 on top of the usual live service elements we know today is egregious. I will happily say right now that if a game is entirely single player, I don't have an issue with spending $70. Now hold on a second, I'm not saying every single player $70 priced game is worth that amount. You don't have to pause the video to go out and buy Starfield for full price right now. There's always been games at full price that aren't worth it, no matter what the standard price of a video game is. What I am saying is that, for example, a game like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or Tears of the Kingdom, or Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, games that charge you up front and then can, or sometimes do, offer upwards of 100 hours of entertainment with no other monetization schemes besides perhaps some erroneous additions that for some reason swap around content. Stupid, but whatever. Games like that are, in my opinion, worth $70. Does everyone agree with that? Perhaps not. But you can buy all of these games used now at a discounted price within at most a year of release. It shouldn't be, and isn't, an unpopular opinion that yearly sports games or COD releases priced at $70 isn't worth it.
No, yeah, that's insane, because like if it was COD, if COD released every 3 years or something, I'd be like, okay, I can understand it being that much, right? The games would definitely look like crazy, bro. A lot of times they recycle the same assets. It's basically the same game. Honestly, I can't tell the difference in the graphics between like the past 3 COD games. I'm being so honest. Like, there really isn't a difference like that.
E3 especially is just so egregious because they didn't even have the flimsy excuse Black Ops 6 has with being on Game Pass. You're paying $70 for a largely multiplayer experience. Yes, I am aware of MW3's campaign and all 5 people who bought the game for the thrilling conclusion to the most 4 out of 10 story of all time. It was 4 hours long, and they only had 16 months to make it. We get it. We heard the message loud and clear. The multiplayer is clearly the only thing that matters to Activision, especially when you boot up the game.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people that really buy Call of Duty to play the story mode anymore. I know in the past it used to be like people used to with it, but nowadays, bro, people was like getting it to play like multiplayer with their friends, to be honest,
and get bombarded with advertisements begging you to spend money on the battle pass or at least one cosmetic. You know, live service games usually slash the price of the game itself to drive people into the store, or at the very least understand that for a largely repetitive multiplayer experience, a price like $40 is a lot more fair to the consumer. Like, MW3 came out November 10th of 2023, and within the 51 days left in the year was still the second best selling game of 2023.
Crazy.
$70 my ass. Greed all the way down. There's no other reason for stuff like that. And now we're here.
And the crazy thing about COD 2 is a lot of times they have something like Warzone, right? But in Warzone, if you want to have good guns, like if you want to edit your classes or your guns or whatnot, you have to buy the game. So if you only like playing Warzone, the actual free version of the game, right? You have to buy the multiplayer version to upgrade the guns and get the good guns, or else it's just going to be like an egregious process for you to like upgrade your gun. I don't even think you can make classes. Like, no, you can't even make actual gun classes and loadouts unless if you have the multiplayer version.
Here, at development costs. And to me, this is actually the most ironclad argument for the reason games cost more money now. Critiquing this point requires looking at how massive video game publishers run their companies and how they prioritize what ideas to turn into games and push out the door. We are deep in an era where a game's success is essentially measured on if it makes the top 10 best-selling games of the year. Because even if a game does sell well, the studio might still go under anyway. And you have to ask yourself, did that studio fail because games cost so much money to make now? Or did that studio get shuttered because Xbox, which is essentially just Microsoft now, a company with a $3 trillion market cap, is looking to recoup costs by laying off employees and shuttering studios in the wake of spending $69 billion acquiring Activision
That's
Blizzard?
insane.
The next time you look at the price of a COD game and think that the excuse for it might be development costs or inflation, ask yourself why they gave the price of a whole COD game plus $100 million extra dollars.
How did this cost $250 million? I genuinely want to know where these costs go, bro.
To Bobby Kotick for leaving the company. What this really boils down to for me is, who's asking for games to cost this much to develop? How realistic do games truly need to be before the amount of money you're sinking into the project just doesn't make sense anymore? Do these game companies really need to spend the amount of money they have left to give to studios remastering games less than a decade old? Would that price really not be better spent funding a fun, new experience and taking a chance on it selling like hotcakes? Even in this forum thread from 2007, many gamers discussed ways to make gaming cheaper. From recommendations like holding out for sales, trading, renting, and one user even discussing the possibilities that
Renting? Okay, how does that work?
game companies should look into other sources of revenue to offset the cost fronted to the consumer. If only you knew the Pandora's box you were talking about, Campster. Much of that landscape has lived on through new means that some people certainly don't know about or just straight up might not have access to. Holding out for sales is still valid. Game renting has kind of become Game Pass, although your selections are limited and it's not really the same. And buying used games has shifted to shopping on eBay or going on sites like Green Man.
I feel like even buying, like getting like the Xbox Game Pass, if you keep it forever, pretty much, they're making more, you know, off of you than all the games they have in their catalog and shit. Like, they have the games and then they made their profits off you eventually. It's better to just buy the game in full, you know? Like, there's no really point in having the pass. Some people might say it's a lot of games, like you would never be able to afford all of them. But like, would you even play all the games, or are you really getting it to play like 2 or 3 games? Because most of the time people are just getting it to play like 2 or 3 games, and that's really it.
And gaming for cheaper digital codes. The only one that's truly died seems to be trading physical copies of games in, because unless you are lucky enough to have a local game store willing to give you an actual worthwhile price for your trade-ins, GameStop remains the GOAT at offering $2.87.
Nah, it's crazy that they even offered this egregious service, bruh. Yeah, I'll never forget the time I went there and they offered $8 for a game I bought for $40. Craziest moment of my life, bro. I remember my dad was there and he was like, what? Yeah, no, just keep the game.
Lint and $7 in Kohl's Cash for that brand new unopened PS5 game. It seems
And
that
then the crazy thing is they're gonna go around behind your back and sell the game for like $30 and give somebody else a good sale for somebody that never played the game.
in the 9th generation of consoles, it's never been more beneficial than now to be a patient gamer and simply wait for $70 games to drop in prices. There's an article I found while making this video that I'd love to quote here. The year is 2003. In this NBC News article, Tom Loftus talks about the possibility of an increase in the price of games coming in the next generation, from $49.99 to $59.99. The
Damn,
quote
he called
I'm
it.
most interested in from this article is all the way at the end. Tom says, ultimately, a price increase may rest with the customers. If one publisher sells a hot new title for $60 a pop and makes a killing, publishers with similar titles may follow. But if consumers determine
Nah, he was right for real, bro. People don't even understand. This is even how the economy works in the US and stuff. Like, a lot of times with inflation now, the reason why prices is still up nowadays is because they can just do it. Like, they said it like that. Other companies are still getting good sales and you gotta buy some of the stuff. But I don't know, some companies, if they do notice it's failing or whatever, they start to like switch back and change it and stuff. And it's like, it's not like the government's gonna do anything about it for real. You know, they could just keep the prices up and just be like, oh, it's inflation. There's nothing we can do about it, even though that shit happened like 3 years ago by now.
that the gameplay can't match the price hike, well, hell hath no fury like a gamer's spurn. While some people have made it known by saying aloud that the current standards for gameplay aren't matching the extra $10 we're paying per game, it seems not everyone is spurned and on the same page.
Don't like it, then don't buy it. When you earn my money, then you can tell me how to spend it. Stop telling people what to do with their money. What does this say? This is caused by green play and silver. For most companies, they are paying much more than they did before. They're still making record progress, not revenue. Bro, people will defend corporations before they defend like themselves. You want to get dicked down by them and they make 100 games $100. You're like, oh, just don't buy it then. Stop telling me what to do with my money. Nobody's telling you what to do with your money. It's just a complaint. The dude was literally just complaining that the games are just too much. Like, why is it too much? And then they're making like way more money than they ever have, than they would ever need.
As of now, $70 games are incredibly profitable, with no sign of that stopping anytime soon. Perhaps, if rumors are true, for GTA 6 ushering in yet another price increase for games due to its estimated and rumored $2 billion development cost.
Actually, now that I think of it, damn, GTA 6 might be $90. $2 billion? Let me see how many sales they would have to get if it was $60 to make their money back. So I put it at 60. If they get 100 million sales, which I think they will over time, they'll make $6 billion and the game costs $2 billion. So that's like 3x times it. But like, if it was something like $80, it would take 75 million sales to make $6 billion. So they would run it up like way quicker. And if they increase the price even more, and that's not even accounting the shark cards, the merchandise people to buy in the game, like whatever. Oh man, that like, yeah. I could see them increasing it early on, making it more expensive just so they can make their money like faster, guaranteed and stuff. But I think they know this is like a generational game. Like our future kids are probably going to be playing GTA 6 still.
Gamers might truly feel spurned. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and make sure to click on the end.
A W video, man. Hey, all I gotta say is, shit, I'm broke. They gotta decrease the prices of these games, man. I can't do it anymore. But yeah, if you're watching on the tube, make sure to join the Discord or watch the streams.
Subscribe to Tommy NFG.